Okay. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. The ones I can see. That's great. It's a beautiful day and everybody's well, it seems, and that's wonderful. And again, Bill, thank you for hosting this, for putting this on yours. And we're going to hear from Joe Benetti today, Rotarian Mayor Joe Benetti, about a new project that's very important for the city and the area. But if you all want to say something about how you're coping first, being isolated, can we start that way, Bill? So there's
Uh,
David. Just a sentence about how you're doing,
how am
everybody.
I
Let's
doing?
do. Yeah. Okay. How are you doing? Sure.
Well, I'm doing fine. I'm about zoomed out. Lots of stuff going on with District 5110 right now, and in spite of the fact that we're all kind of semi shut in, I'm wondering if maybe next week or one of the weeks after there'd be some interest in having an update on the district's uh, business to business program. That is gaining steam right now. Dan Smith and the E Club has been doing a great job with that. He lives in Roseburg. Um, so that's one thing we've been doing. I've also got a meeting this afternoon and then again on Thursday, planning for our virtual club training assembly. Remember, that's the thing, used to be called the district training assembly. It was always been in Cottage Grove. This year it's going to be online, and there's going to be a limited number of training opportunities, but it's going to be like for the secretaries and the treasurers, and membership chairs, public image chairs, and so forth, and then a number of other classes that are going to be all online. A date to be announced soon. I don't want to steal thunder for District Governor-elect Cindy O'Neill, but there's a handful of folks been working on that, myself included, and I think it's going to be worthwhile. So that's kind of my report. I'm going to mute my camera, and if we have any bandwidth issues like last week, I kept cutting out. So that's why if any of you went back and looked at the recording that was on YouTube, there was some blank spots in there. So if we have that happen again, don't give up on me. I'll just
Oh,
kind of rejoin when my bandwidth picks up. So take it away,
great.
Eva.
Okay. So we can start. Joe, why don't we just start with you and then hear from other people later? Joe Benetti, can you tell us about your program?
So anyway, I had so what happened? We're talking about masks, and it's something that I've been promoting for quite a while. Through a discussion with Rob Miles, who's one of our counselors, he asked, "Could we mandate the city to have everyone outside to have masks?" Well, that's a little problematic and just not realistic for us to enforce. And so I talked with Roger Craddock on Monday, and we talked about the possibilities how to get masks for people that are out in the community. And it came up that we should try to see if the stores would enforce having customers come in that have to have masks. That brought up another problem, that being that if you're asking customers to have masks, then you need to make sure that there are masks there for them to have so they could shop. And so what we've done is had the discussion of doing this. Lindy Quinn, who's with Zonta and the incoming president, there has been reaching out to me and inquiring, about having more masks and how it's a problem when she goes out in the community. So I reached back out to her and I said, Lindy, would you and Zonta be willing to get involved? And so she was going to talk to Karen Costello, who's the president of Zonta. She also suggested other organizations like Seropton Medicine Lions Club and the others that are in our community. And I said I would talk to Eva about seeing if Rotary would be willing to participate in doing this, because there's a lot of logistical problems and probability of this happening. You need thousands of masks. You need to make sure that whoever does make masks and are making masks, can they produce them? And will they be willing to drop them off somewhere? Will they be putting into bags? Will they be taken to stores? Are the stores willing to hand them out? So all these things need to take place. So what I'm basically calling this is a fact-finding aspect of it right now. I think it would help. I've had some people say that, maybe masks aren't the best because they've heard that that you only need a mask if you have the virus. And that because otherwise these masks won't still allow it to be transmitted. And that is true. But on the flip side is if everyone had a mask in my mind and was out in the community and it would stop the virus from being transmitted, then basically it would help the community to be much healthier and not spread this virus. So that's my aspect on it. And, if you go a little bit further, the CDC, you also have OHA, the state agency, and Coos Health and Wellness, our local one, are all supporting masks. Last week, we heard from Dr. Sherman, who was an advocate of masks. They wear masks in North Bend Medical Center. If you talk to other physicians that are out and about, they will tell you, first of all, try not to go out and keep social distancing. But if you do, wear a mask. So I think it's the right track to try to do. I would love for us to be able to pull this off. It's a big push and a big ask because there's a lot of things that need to happen. I would imagine, just to get going, I'm going to throw out a number, 5,000 masks. So what the city is doing today, on my conference call with Roger Craddock, the city manager, is we're sending our police department out to talk to every store and see if they are willing to do it. Number one, because we need to get them on board. And what we have found out, instead of trying to mandate it, if we ask people to participate, we've been very fortunate in people stepping up. An example would be the lodging facilities. When we first sent out a letter asking them to not allow tourists to come in and to regulate that, they did. If you drive by, and I check, I can see Best Western Motel from my window, and they have very few cars. Motel 6 is very limited. So they're participating in a good faith manner. And we believe that could still happen with stores instead of trying to mandate things. So then we would get the stores to get on board. We're going to ask the stores how many masks they think they might need, in a period of time, because we're looking at probably our apex, we understand, is going to probably be the end of April to the beginning of May, the 1st of May. And so we're looking at 2 to 3 weeks in there that our apex is going to be potentially here. It might get shoved out a little bit more, but it's still going to be around the virus. And so we would need to supply them for that period of time. So these are one of the questions that we're going to ask the stores. So are they willing to do it, and how many? And then, of course, the other piece would be to see, is North Bend willing to get on board with their stores there and go out and reach out to them? I would hope they would be willing to do that, because it'd be beneficial if we are a community and we do it as a community instead of individual entities, as we have done. So that's, the brief synopsis of it. I mean, I can get into more detail if you like, but I'm willing to ask questions. So, we would need, somebody from Rotary that would be willing to reach out to Lindy. And then, because I think you need some people that are going to get together as a group and kind of logistically put some things in place that need to be done. I'd be willing to help sit on that committee and facilitate it. It'd be difficult for the city to get involved as far as distributing it and doing those types of things. We can reach out and do a lot of things like we are today and getting the information that is necessary for us to try to make this thing successful. So, questions?
So you need a committee. You need somebody to head up that committee, unless you want to head it up yourself, and you need volunteers to start making masks.
Correct. I mean, what I would suggest, first of all, let's get the data. And so I would hopefully have some information about the stores willing to participate, and maybe an idea of how many masks. I would say that, we're probably going to need 5,000 masks. I would be surprised if we need anything less than that. I think we might even need more than that. But I think that, number one, getting a committee together. I mean, I'll be willing to help on the committee. Leading it would be difficult because I'm kind of tied up on a lot of other things at this point. But, I would say, okay, find out how many people are sewing and they're willing to participate, and how many masks we can generate. We might not even be able to generate 5,000 masks. Maybe that's too big of an ask for this community. So there's some things that we need to find out before we can see if we'll be successful or not.
So people should just start making masks anyway, it would seem, because they're going to be needed at some point.
I would agree. I mean, I've been very fortunate to get masks, and I wear them all the time, and I'm going to go out and promote to everyone utilizing it no matter what. I just think this is a better way to make sure that we get masks to a large quantity of people. And, I drive by these stores like many of you others do. And when I drive by and see so many cars in these stores and these facilities, I know there's no way they can be social distancing. And I also know that not everyone in those stores has a mask. So therefore, everyone's in jeopardy or jeopardizing somebody else.
Right, Stephen and Diego here and myself, we've all been wearing masks for the past 2 weeks going out. And well, I don't go out, not really, but yeah. So
If you go out with a mask into a store and somebody that doesn't have a mask on that has a virus, there's still a good probability that they could transmit it to you.
right, they could be definitely asymptomatic. They're easy to make with elastic bands too, or hair ties. It's very quick, very simple. It's 4 folds, and then a 5th fold, and then I got some right here made out of napkins, cloth napkins. So those are simple and easy to do if you don't sew.
You know, people like Joe Neal does it. I know a friend of mine that used to work for me. She makes them. Roger Craddock's wife makes them. There's a variety people that make them. I think, Eva, you said that you put out the email about this being discussed today on this program, and then you got more people that have responded about making this too.
Sherry Witt, who's on here, she said that she would like to make some masks.
Yeah.
So she's here. She's
So
muted,
I don't know how long it takes to make a mask, and I'm not sure, you know, I mean, so there's a lot of things I don't know that we, as you know, individuals and groups, and that would need to find out. So.
Okay. Any questions? Anybody?
So does everyone think this is a good idea, or do they agree with me? They think I'm full of hot air or not in the right, I mean, this is an open discussion that, I just got off the phone with Stephanie Kilmer, and, she played Devil's Advocate, and she always brings up another side of it, and we talked about it. And this, like we said, let's make this a fact finding and go from there and see if we can produce the information that we need. And number one, the amount of mask, and make sure that stores are going to buy into this.
So Bill, could you unmute Sherry Witt? There's people. There we go. Sherry Witt, you are on microphone. Can you tell us about making masks, sewing masks?
Can you hear me, Eva?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure how that worked. I haven't spoke yet on this. Thank you. I don't know how to make a mask. I haven't made one yet, but I love to sew. So if somebody has some instructions, a pattern, I can jump right in.
Hello, this is Ron Steelmaker. I have a comment.
Go ahead.
My wife's been looking at, there's a ton of videos on there on how to make masks. She said when I was down at Walmart this morning during the opening for the elderly folks like myself, and Walmart's cleaned out of all of their mask making materials pretty much. So unless you stocked up, it'd be kind of hard to find a group of volunteers to make masks.
So you can make them from old sheets, from old clothes that you don't wear anymore, from cloth napkins that you use at your table. There's different materials you can just find in your house, usually, that you're not using anymore. And
That's true.
It's about 9 by 9. I'm gonna.
So maybe those paper napkins or the paper ones might be the way to go. Cloth napkins is something they could reuse over and over, which would be nice.
Right.
So. But,
So there's another one. And it took me like 2 minutes to make this. Just 2 minutes to make this with the elastics, because it's here. I mean, you can find this online. Anybody can. It's easy. And this is the napkin, the cloth napkin, and that's all there was. It's 4 or 5 folds. Very fast.
So what I suggest, if somebody from our club would like to, reach out and, with Lindy Quinn, who was the point person there, and then see about the other ones and try to get this kind of formulated. I will have some information probably back, I would hope tomorrow or even late as Thursday, from Roger on the number of stores and maybe quantity. And then we can kind of get an idea of what we would need to produce.
Okay, I'll call Lindy. I will. I know Lindy. So
you have her number?
I'll call her. Somewhere, I think, but maybe not. You want to put it on here? Do you want to put it on here?
Well, I don't think it matters. He's interested in doing this, so let's find out here.
Send it.
If I get in trouble, I get in trouble. But,
well, you can send it to me too.
Okay, I'll do that then.
And then I'll put out a call for anybody within our Rotary who wants to start making them too. When you give me the go-ahead tonight, you'll give us the go-ahead tonight to do it. But it's so simple with elastic bands.
Yeah, I just think, just that, and then, if all these people that want to make them, where do they, where should they drop them off? They probably should be in some kind of Ziploc bag, and then we got to find out taking to the stores, and
Exactly. So it was a great project. Now, is Carrie Mitchell on? Is she here? There's Carrie. Carrie's unmuted. Carrie, can you tell us about the hand sanitizer project?
I can. We have tentative distribution date of next week, the first part of next week, depending on if our containers arrive. We have labels ordered through Alan Ledesma, Rotarian, and we have our distribution list organized. Amy Beatty and Steve Schneiderman have been working on that. Bennett is working on a list for our group of Rotarians so that each person should be able to get a couple of small bottles, 8-ounce bottles of hand sanitizer. And the groups that we're delivering the gallons to include first responders, clinics, ambulance, long-term care facilities. Amy and Steve did a lot of work on that. Question?
So, Carrie, how long will this sanitizer, hand sanitizer last? Are we looking at having to ramp up and make more?
The sanitizer expiration date is a year from now. We have contracted for 5 batches of 50 gallons each. Oh, wow. So about 250 gallons. SOWIB, of course, you know, has also contracted with the Wagon Distillery to provide some of their own to different organizations. So once that is done, I think SOWIB has a website they're putting up and will allow businesses, possibly members of the public, to order directly from them after that. We're trying to get this jump started to folks that have no access. Right now, there just isn't any on the shelf. So we're hoping that we can fulfill this immediate need. And beyond that, then we'll see where it goes from there.
Any questions for Carrie on this hand sanitizer project? No. In that case, Deanne wanted to be unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the Quilting Guild is about 100 people in town, and we're all sewers. So I know that we made a lot of masks from some sheets that Tom Bennett took to our president. So if we can find a lot of old sheets or fabric, because we can make our own bindings for the ties. I don't know how many we made. I haven't talked to her, but I do know that there are, like I said, 75 to 100 quilters in our area. So if we had fabric, we could sew. Anyway, that's my input.
Okay. Any questions there? So anybody else want to say something here about anything?
I'll mute myself again.
So Tim Novotny, you want to speak? You're right there.
Okay, what would you like me to speak about?
Well, you're doing some publicity on that hand sanitizer project, right? You and Stephanie are working together on that.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Stephanie and I, and we talked with Steve yesterday, and we're going to get a press release out on mass release later this week. But yeah, we're working on putting something together to get out to the press. Hopefully, I believe Thursday, and line up so that people can show up for a photo opportunity as well when out at the distillery when they start to pump out some more of the hand sanitizer and make their deliveries next week once we coordinate all that. But yeah, it's just a tremendous undertaking, and we want to make sure we share that with as many people in the community, but also outside the community. We think it's a good story that a lot of people will be interested in around the state and maybe outside the state as well.
Right, that's great. And Alan Ledesma has offered, he's making the labels for all of them, and he's doing it for free. It's a huge cost, and he's actually just donated himself to do that, which is wonderful.
That's being included in there in the release. So yeah, it's a great addition to already what was a really good donation from Rotary, and working with a partnership, which is in itself part of the Rotary donation in a way, is the bringing together of all the groups to make it happen.
Great project. The labels say that it's 80% alcohol, but they have lots of warnings on it about that, because 80% alcohol, you just don't know. It's also flammable, so that's on it as well. The labels look good.
Yeah, don't drink it.
Exactly, right. It says if you drink it, you have to call the Poison Control Center.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
It's such a good.
It's not the usual stuff from Stillwater. They usually have really good stuff. This one is just purely cleaning supply stuff.
But it is.
So Eva, while we have Joe with us, Joe, I understand you're an expert on ordering groceries online. What are some of our options?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I asked Roger to go out and find out from this stores who does delivering, because I think that's also important. So one of the things that I've been advocating also is trying to order online. So I did it yesterday with Fred Meyer. It was very pleasant. It was very successful. I gave him 5 stars. I would recommend it to anyone. You get the Fred Meyer app. I understand you're going to be doing it, Bill, hopefully today. And you're able to place your orders. You can interact with the person that they have to substitute, and they will deliver and drop it on your doorstep for $9.95. And I think it's well worth it. It keeps you away from the store. It keeps everyone safe. So we're going to find out what other stores do that. This is through Instacart. And I understand Instacart does other deliveries for other places, but we'll find out that information when we go around today. So I'm not sure about the Safeway or Walmart. I know they do pickup in their parking lots, but I'm not sure about the delivery, which I think is a very interesting concept for a lot of people.
And so as you ordered your groceries, you were texting back and forth with the individual that was going up and down the line?
Yeah, the same guy
ordered the stuff for you? I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah, because some things they don't have that you have ordered on there, and so they're asking if you want substitutions. And so, like for instance, I wanted light sour cream. Well, they didn't have light sour cream, but they had light sour cream with chives in it. So I said, that's fine, Some things you might not want to substitute, the brand name that you want. But they try to accommodate what you're wanting, but they'll ask you and interact with you. So they'll text you, will this work? Yes, that'll be fine. And, so it was very pleasant. I mean, very interactive, very good. I have nothing but good things to say about it. And I advocate and suggest everyone try it and try to do that.
And they left the groceries right on your front doorstep?
Right on my doorstep. I didn't have to answer it. In fact, I wasn't home at the time. Oh, they text you. We're on our way. And then they'll say, we dropped your groceries off. And they leave. So, yep. Very, very positive thing that the shopping that way. Very positive.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
Al, you got something to tell us? How you're coping?
Yeah, coping just fine with this beautiful weather. I did 3 loads of laundry yesterday and mowed the lawn, and now I've run out of grass.
Okay, all right.
So one other thing, when you guys go and get these groceries and go out to these restaurants and everything, since I was in the hospitality industry, I suggest highly that you remember to tip them, because it's important for them to try to get through this financial crisis, and a little bit helps them. So.
Oh, Joe, how recently did you compile that list? I'm asking because I called the Fisherman's Grotto to try and get some takeout fish here about a week ago, and the answering machine said they were closed.
There are some restaurants closed, so you need to remember that. Now, Stephanie has, KDOC Radio, has a list of the restaurants that are doing delivery, they're doing takeout, and also pickup, curbside pickup. So they all do that. So Stephanie's list is very accurate. We had Stephanie's list on the Friday update. So yeah, it's on KDOC's Facebook page, the list of the restaurants. So.
Great, thanks.
Right. So Joe, did those police officers use those face shields that we made for them?
I didn't ask Roger. I'll find out today. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that they are. I know they're carrying them in the car. I would hope that they would use them in the right instances. So yeah. So for everyone, Eva made some masks that with a shield on them, with a baseball cap, and she donated to the police department. So they went out and picked them up, and I think it'll be an asset for them to utilize. So yeah.
They're pretty good. They're made from 20 gauge marine grade vinyl. But yeah, they definitely work. So Stephen, you want to know how people are coping? Well, Stephen and I are separated. He's next door in the garage studio, and it's very different to be 9 feet away from him and not be able to touch him at all. So it's Diego and I here in the house because he's still working. He's going to the ICU. He's still working, and he doesn't know if he could be asymptomatic. So he wears a mask all the time. Anyway, so what speakers would anybody like to hear from? Can you just either, if you can't talk right now, if you could send me a list of what kind of speakers you'd like to hear on Zoom, on these Zoom gatherings? I know that Deanne's been working on getting somebody from the Coos Health and Wellness Child Protective Services come and talk to us, because as everybody's been hearing on the news, child abuse is up, domestic violence in the house is up, and so if we knew some ways to deal with that somehow that we could help, I don't know how, but we could listen to whoever that is. So Deanne, you've been in touch with that person, right? So you were in communication with somebody from Child Protective Services to be a speaker for us. But if anybody would like to hear something else, maybe something about gardening, because everybody should be having a garden right now. So Chris, you want to say something? Oh, Stephanie just came in and said the Kids Hope Center. That's a good idea. That's a great idea. Yeah, you have somebody from the Kids Hope Center talk to us. That's great. Chris, are you wanting to say something? Okay. Okay, well, Diego is still here. Diego from Spain.
I hope his hands are clean because he's spending a lot of time on his face with them.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's hard to do. I keep squeezing my hands together on my hat.
Diego, what do you hear from your family and friends in Spain?
They're confinated. They're quarantined, and they're just not going out. And they're doing fine, but Spain, it seems like they're improving in a way. But I think my family is doing fine. Like, we didn't have any problems with any member of my family. They're all doing fine.
Very good.
So Bill, I see that Linda cut your hair.
She did.
Yeah, I saw that.
And, on that note right there, I'm seeing a number of people that are sending money to their barbers and hairdressers and housekeepers and so on and so forth, even though they're not getting the service in return. And Lynn and I have been discussing that. We're going to start doing that as well. We've done a little bit of it. We're going to step up our game. It's really tough what this is doing to our economy. That might be a good program too, is if we could get somebody that would have some expertise in really talking about what is the impact on the economy of Coos County as a result of this shutdown. It's devastating.
Be nice to get a virtual haircut. My bangs are getting so long and I don't know how to do that. So Stephanie Kilmer is coming in here constantly with a whole bunch of ideas. So I'll put those together. She can send them to me. She's got Coos Health and Wellness, Philip Nell. So she's got lots of them, but she can't get on to speak. I don't know why. So, but if you could put those all together, Stephanie, that would be great. And send me that list. So where are we here?
I think we're about ready to get cut off by Zoom because we haven't
Joe
yet.
wants to say
I'd like to just encourage the board to purchase a premium Zoom account so that we're not limited to 40 minutes. We've just been using my freebie and it's got some limitations to it.
Yeah, it's
but
$15, I think, for 100 people a month.
yeah, I think you have to buy it a year at a time.
Maybe.
Um,
But I think
the district bought a Zoom account, but other clubs have gobbled up the noon hour.
I
Okay,
just think it's going to be something that we're going to be doing in the future, for sure.
yeah, our board meeting is on this Thursday, and we're doing it by teleconference because not everybody can do Zoom. They can't because of their bandwidth. There's difficulties. I know Tom has difficulty, and Amy Bailey said she didn't have enough bandwidth to do.
But there's the ability to dial in. So even if you don't have a smartphone, you
I
can
know.
just dial in and use Zoom.
I know, so maybe they should be doing that. We'll see what happens next time.
Has anyone sent information out about dialing in? Do they know about it?
Bill,
You know,
send
what we
some-
should do is send the link out, Eva, with the phone number to dial in.
Let's
Let's do that next week.
Right, okay. So anybody else want to say something?
Yeah, there's one more piece the city's working on. We're, the homeless issue is a problem that we've been trying to keep them intact. One of the things we don't want to do is break them up. And Stephanie could probably speak to this. She's on the homeless committee better than I, but I'll give you the highlights. She could definitely do a program on this herself. And so by not doing that in case they have the virus, but now if they do have the virus, we need to have a homeless camp. So we're looking at finding a place that we can put the homeless camp. We're looking at the Armory. We're looking at the old site behind the bowling alley that the Confederate Tribes has, and different places where we can put some tents if this happens to happen. We need to have a place to put them. So that's another thing that the city's dealing with. There's a lot of moving parts on it, but they're going forward on it, and Stephanie and that committee's doing a great job. So anyway, something to keep an eye on in the future.
So Stephanie keeps sending messages to me, but they disappear pretty fast, so I can't keep up with them. So she's got lots to say. I
I
wish
see we have less than a minute.
We do. Right.
Less than a minute.
Less than a minute, so everybody keep well. I'll let you know what next week's speaker will be at probably the Kids Center or Child and Protective Services. Thank you, Joe, again.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And
Thank you,
let's stay in
Bill.
touch. Oh, and I sent you Lindy's email on your email. I sent her contact.
Okay. And I've got old sheets, Deanne, I can give to you. So, okay.
Hopefully we can pull this off.
Thanks, everybody. Okay.
All right.
Have a good week.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes, thanks.
Bye-bye.